Good morning, everyone. I have a wonderful, wonderful guest with me. I consider him a friend and a colleague, a terrific advisor. And so, as you know, I'd like to start with how I know Pedro and what he's meant to me and to the city. So sorry to embarrass you, Pedro, but if I'm correct, I knew you when you were city solicitor for Philadelphia. You were the managing director of Philadelphia. Um, I've known you from the executive board of the Chamber of Commerce, and now you're CEO of the Philadelphia Foundation. And I would say that the way I know Pedro, and I would say other people do, is that he is truly one of our great civic leaders. He is, if there's a major issue that needs to be tackled, he's our go-to guy. When I was chair of the chamber board, right, Pedro, I would like say, hi, I'd text him, do you have a minute to just like talk to me? And I'd like just run something and boom, you just always and you continue, you just get it. And I'm very fortunate to be part of a small group, the Civic Coalition to Save Lives. Again, Pedro's vision. I'm sorry, Pedro, I'm doing this to you, but it's all true. Where Pedro was like, this was but when um, gun violence was at its peak. He brought in a national expert in collaboration with Sean and Janet Haas and others. But really, Pedro leading the way and saying we've got to conquer this and bring in experts to really lower gun violence in the city. So your impact is very real, and so I certainly appreciate you and thank you. I know I am not alone. But so any Pedro, so again, sorry, but that's the truth. I have to tell it like it is. Oh, and he has the best laugh in the world. So if I can't get Pedro to laugh, I have failed at this chat that we're having today.
So you're overly generous. It's really a pleasure every time we get a chance to collaborate or conspire with you. We might even go further back. I think you may have been in the Rendell administration when he appointed me to the school board when I was 30 years old, and don't know how much we would have interacted then, but a lot was going on in those days, in the David Hornbeck days, and I know
Yeah.
everybody notes that the ways you've provided service in the community, certainly through the chamber. I care a lot about positive transformation. I think you really led a period of positive transformation there. You were part of the Rendell team at a time of transformation. Uh, and I always say transformation for good because there are all types of transformations. And I feel really, really lucky over the years to have had a chance to work with and know people that I've been able to work with and know that starting where I grew up in North Philadelphia, but through my professional and civic life as well.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. And so, talk to us and tell everybody because we really want to hear, like, was there a time when you had to bet on yourself? When did you bet on yourself?
Well, Sue, you know, I've, I can't say how lucky I feel, and how lucky I am. It's not just, I mean, statistically, I'm also pretty lucky in lots of ways. Um, and I mean, I often will go through and just list the number of times in my life that my role was taking good advice, in the going in the direction that I hadn't planned on going. And I've had an enormous number of occasions of people betting on me, and at times that really mattered in my life. So I think the biggest stake bet that was probably sort of my own was the decision um, to make myself a candidate to run the Philadelphia Foundation. I had a career that had provided for me and my kids and my wife, and who also worked at the time, and in a way that we never, I never imagined as a kid. Um, I enjoyed problem solving with clients, and I had the opportunity to work on some really great clients on some really interesting projects, uh, and uh, felt a lot of satisfaction doing that work. And whenever I left the practice of law, it was always a tour of duty. I always did it with the intention of coming back, or it was a volunteer effort. For Ed Rendell, a lot of my stuff was volunteer effort. Uh,
Right.
John Street got me to do what Ed Rendell couldn't get me to do, was actually take a job inside the government for a
Yes.
period of time. But I always planned to come back. When I went to work for Judy Roden at Penn as their chief of staff, it was for the end of her tenure. My plan was to come back when I went to be city solicitor. Um, uh, it was that was the case. Um, uh, the, when I decided to pursue this role, I'd had lots of number two roles and some big number two roles as managing director and chief of staff at Penn, part of a small sort of university-wide team there. But one was taking the chief executive role where um, sort of the buck stops. And whereas I had always been comfortable being the advisor, the counselor, the doer. And then uh, even more, coming in, leaving the for-profit world that I always sort of went back to, that had, again, really uh, uh, provided for my family in a way that was others in my family hadn't had the opportunity to do. So the and I'd say it was a bet on myself because it was also sort of the where I was in my life. I was over 50, so even if I returned to law, I wasn't going to return where I left. All my clients and everybody wouldn't be waiting for me exactly where I left them at that point. I knew it would be tougher to go back. But I really saw this, uh, and after my wife really made me slow down and think about it, I really saw this as like what an opportunity for service. I
Hmm.
obviously care a lot about service, and I came to appreciate that it was service, and it would also not be a cakewalk, that there was real work to do. There were some opportunities for transformation, and there was an opportunity to really kind of leave, like other things, attract the people that are, and the efforts that are going to make something better and stronger, and something that could serve others in the future. So
It's
coming
yeah.
here, and I've now been here 10 years, and I really
Wow.
wake up every day excited, excited to start my day. My days are long, but you're working every day. Um, in many ways, you live the best of Philly. I mean,
Hmm.
you're working with the ultimate optimists all day long. You're working with nonprofit organizations that, no matter the curveballs that get thrown at them, are focused on community, no matter what. We saw a few years ago, even in a pandemic, who was out there first before government on the front lines? It was nonprofit organizations in our communities. And this is a very generous community, whether it's individuals, companies, other nonprofits, other foundations. People really come together for their neighbors. And so you kind of have to live in and work in a place where the job is connecting those parts of the community that are doing the work and trying to support the work, and do that all day long, and try to do that sort of effectively in a way that people's efforts can combine to make the greatest impact.
Yeah, no, I'd love that. And um, It's interesting because I always think of you as leading in these different roles when you're city solicitor and you're chief of staff at Penn and you're managing director. But you're right, it stops with you, right, with your foundation. And so my question, Pedro, is like, so you'd said, okay, you bet on yourself. Were you like, okay, I'm betting on myself because it's gonna stop with me? Was that in your brain, or were you like personally like a little like worried, like, can I do this? Or were you like, no, I can totally do this? I mean, what was going through your brain where you're like, I'm gonna jump in and just do this?
By the time I uh, interviewed for the job, I had realized I could do this.
Hmm.
When it first became a notion, I had to actually go through a process, and you will not be surprised, but others will. I mean, you were supposed to do a presentation, like what would you do in your first 90 days? And of course, I wrote out, I can't talk about 90 days unless I know what I'm going to do over the next year or what my general direction was going to be. So I show up and I go, I don't know enough yet, but here's a direction I think that I'm hearing, right? And here's the next year. And here's how the first 90 days fit into a year, because I don't know how to otherwise talk about what to do in 90 days if you don't know where you're going.
And
Uh,
what's everybody in the community to their eyes like get like this,
So
like,
I got a quick
whoa.
call after that that session. But part of it was going through the process of just thinking, how does can an organization like this, that's got such a storied history, that's got really stepped up at key times, has such, you know, such devotion to the city, but isn't that well known and has sort of not grown the way some other community foundation. How can sort of just lean into the best of it, and what, I think more than anything, it needed a fresh pair of eyes to champion what, what this organization was already doing and could do, and connected to so many people and throughout our region, that share its values, that share its ambition for the greater Philadelphia, that know that the people here are capable of great things, and people here always want to help their neighbors.
Mhm. I know. I love it. So, Pedro, thank you. I mean, thank you for, really committing to a life of service and giving back, as you said, right? I mean, we are all so lucky. And, even the way you lead in your style, and like you said, bringing in people to work together. No one works, you don't play games. No one works against each other. It's like we're all a team. And so we all, this, but I want to say we all appreciate you. So thank you so much for talking today.
Feelings mutual. Thank you.